Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads. And I am about to go away for a couple of days and I thought I would read some childhood horror books. A few months ago or last year, what is time? My parents dropped off a big box of my old childhood books, and in that box were a couple of point horror books and an old Shivers and some Goosebumps. I have read the Goosebumps and I thought that I would reread the rest of the kind of spookier books for 'tis the season, and I thought that these would be a fun selection of books to take away with me, easy to just shove in a suitcase. We are just going away for a little bit of staycation. It is my partner and I's anniversary. We've been together for 10 years. And we are just going to go and relax and just have a nice time. There are some fun statues that are in Aberdeen right now, a dinosaur trail, little Lego statues that are, we're not quite sure where they are, but we're going to go find them and hopefully find them all if we can. And I'm going to try and add some B-roll of the Lego statues if we find them. If we don't, I might edit this out because I'll feel like a fool. So my grand plan was I was going to take all three of these with me. I actually finished one of the books already. I made a start on Shivers on Creepy Clothes, and I thought that I would just make my way through a little bit of this and then take it with me. But the book's really short. It's only like 120 pages and the font, like, the font's pretty generous. So I finished this really quickly. This is about two children. We have Patricia and Sam, whose parents are sadly in an accident. These children go and stay with an aunt they never knew they had. And when they go to their aunt's house, they find a chest of clothes. When they put on the clothes, they travel through time. I thought this was a fun enough read. The first 30 to 40 pages were basically just, how can we get these children to go and stay with this aunt? Let's just lead up to a big accident on a birthday and kind of then go from there. This definitely gave me Goosebumps vibes. I really enjoyed Goosebumps, and I remember talking to my friend about how we remembered Shivers as being a little bit darker in content to Goosebumps, but after reading this and previously reading some Goosebumps earlier in the year, I don't know, I think they're pretty even. And I wonder if that's maybe like if a Shivers Goosebumps rivalry was kind of that, like the Backstreet Boys NSYNC rivalry of the day. I don't know if that was it, and you're like, they're both fine. I mean, Backstreet Boys are better, but NSYNC can dance better. So, you know, we're all winners here. I'm going to find it really hard to rate this book because I'm not the target audience and it was such a quick read, but I think this book would be absolutely perfect for a younger reader. I read this when I was 12. I don't know what 12-year-old me would have thought of this book. I know that not long after I was 12, I moved on to a lot darker reads. I know I read The Bell Jar and The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Virgin Suicides, After the Hole. They were all books that I read not long after the age of 12. I also became mildly obsessed with Lord of the Flies around about that time. So I don't know what I would have thought of this, but it was really fun to go back and just kind of have a nice, kind of light-hearted, nostalgic read. I thought the concept was fun, but like, I mean, it's a book for 12-year-olds in the 90s. It didn't give too much, and it didn't leave any sort of impression on me at the time, but it was fun to reread something I would have read as a kid. I'm going to take the point horrors with me and read them while I'm away, but we're going to find dinosaur statues. We are. we are back from our little couple of days away, and if I've done what I thought I was going to do, I have added b-roll just prior to this video of the Lego dinosaur dino trail, that's what it's called, which is happening, well, it's happening right now in Aberdeen, and basically there are these pretty substantial Lego dinosaur statues all around the city centre. And we thought, what better thing to do than go and do this little trail? And like, it's a little trail, it's not huge, it's just in the city centre, but still I got like 9,500 steps, and it took like 2.5 hours, but we had a break because we got thirsty, and it was just so lovely. And I've never really made anything out of Lego, although I have been making my Lego flowers since I got home because I felt inspired, and it just kind of is always nice when there's something fun in town. When I got home, I finished 2 more books, so I've now finished all of my childhood nostalgic rereads. So these 2 were point hoarders. These had a bit of an older target audience than Shivers. I loved Point Hoarder as a kid. These are my original copies, but upon rereading this one, I saw my cousin's name written on the inside. So they are from 1990 and 1991, but I did not have them in 1990 and 1991 because I was not reading Point Hoarder when I was 4 and 5. No. So I'm going to start with Trick or Treat. Both of these books are by the same author, Richie Tankersley Cusick, and this is a kind of haunted house story. We have Martha, who is the new girl in town. Her father has recently married, and off they go to start their new life as a sort of blended family. And she meets her new stepbrother that she's met only like a couple of times before. The parents eloped and the children were not invited, and they have this very kind of creepy house which is just outside of their new small hometown. Martha instantly gets the creeps from this house. It's old, it's creaky, it's cold, and she just doesn't want to be there. When she starts school, she makes some friends and learns a little bit more about the history of her house. And it turns out that a grisly murder occurred there, and it happened in her bedroom. It happened the year prior on Halloween, just before the grisly death of the young girl in the house. She'd been getting these kind of prank phone calls, which start happening again. And Martha is getting these terrifying phone calls of somebody threatening Elizabeth, who is the original victim. And Martha's just terrified. Some spooky goings on then happen, and of course the parents are called away for reasons that are basically just to let the children be left alone at home. Classic 90s. And Martha kind of works together with her new stepbrother to try and find out what is happening. Is there a ghost? Is there a vengeful spirit? I really like this book. I found this book to be creepier than I remembered Point Hoarder being. I really liked Martha as a character. She was very much like, I don't want to be here. I have been taken from Chicago, home of the deep dish pizza, I believe, to go and stay in this really, really small town where it feels like everybody is related to each other. Everybody knows each other's business, and she's very much a fish out of water. And I really enjoyed her sort of gradual acceptance of her brother. I feel like this being tormented by a potential ghostie really does bring a family together. I feel this book aged pretty well as well. I was a little bit worried because this book is from 1991. No, this book was first published in the UK in 1991. It's from 1989. I was a little worried that perhaps it wouldn't have aged quite so well, but I think it did. There were a few moments where Martha was waiting for a boy to save her, but I think that was pretty much standard, and I'm not gonna judge the book for that. It was kind of standard for the time. If this book was written now, I'd be like, Martha, come on. do a bit better. But I thought this was fun. It was very creepy, and I did find myself being like, is this going to be an okay bedtime book? It was, but I was very concerned. I did not guess the twist, which tick what I was hoping for. I had, in my head, I was convinced I knew what was happening. I was kind of close, but I was not close enough, and I was looking at the wrong person, and I really liked that misdirect. I thought this was such a fun read. I then read Teacher's Pet. This makes it look like it takes place in a school. It doesn't. It takes place on a writing retreat in a kind of woodland area, hosted by a very celebrated author who's nowhere to be seen. Kate is a very talented writer, and she won a prize, and part of that prize is to go to this writing retreat, and off she goes with her English teacher, and she gets to have this amazing experience and get these tips to help her become a better writer. She is a horror girly, and she's just living her best life. And because this book takes place in the woods, creepy goings on are happening in the woods. I'm a fan. You know I love a creepy woodland. Kate also starts this like kind of relationship with the teacher. I'll come back to that. And the teacher is the brother of the celebrated missing author, and they have this creepy house that's totally out of bounds, and Kate finds herself sort of being the subject of some ghostly, creepy goings on. She is getting threatening notes. She is having like her belongings stolen slash actually like slashed. She feels like somebody is watching her, and somebody is, and it's very creepy. And she again make some friends, and they start looking into what happened. And word on the street is that the last person to have a sort of romantic dalliance with this teacher was thought to have taken her own life in a way that could potentially have been a murder. So Kate's kind of a bit anxious of like, is somebody seems to be coming for me, and the last person who was looking at that guy, things did not end well for. This book didn't age quite as well as the last book because of the kind of relationship with the teacher. Like, she's 17, and I know like you could get married in Scotland at 17. You can get married in Scotland I think at 16, but not to a teacher. That's that kind of, that like power dynamic thing, it just gave me the ick, and that kind of dated the book a smidge. I really liked the twist. I really liked the reveal. I did, again, I'm looking at the wrong people for this, but mainly because everybody seems a little bit suspicious. I had a really good time with this book. It kept me guessing. It very much made me, I got that tension. I really liked this. It was a really good horror. I didn't see the twist coming. I think the twist in this book again aged not quite as well as Trick or Treat. This book is from 1990, and there were certain tropes that were used then that I would hope a modern day author would look to do something else, hopefully. But I feel like even taking into account the fact that I feel like the rationale in this book was very of its time, I still had a great time with this book too. I did love Trick or Treat a bit more. I loved reading the point horrors. I'm gonna just put it in the hands of fate that if I were to come across any more point horror books in charity shops, obviously when my low spend year is over, then that's a sign from like the universe that I need to read more of them. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it out there and see if I can maybe find some more of these in charity shops as I just go along my merry way, and then I can read some more of them. Ideally, I'd love to make my way through the set, but there's so many of them, and I don't think they got republished. I think they're all pretty old, so let's put that out there. I enjoyed reading Shivers, but I feel that I don't tend to enjoy reading middle grade books. Just not something I really gravitate towards, and this was a fun read, but it was so short and there wasn't really time for that much to happen that I'm definitely not the target audience anymore for this. But I had a grand enough time. I'm not going to rate this book just because I don't feel that that's fair. I'm too old for this, but these, I'm too old for these as well, but I had a great time with them. I'd love to know if you have any childhood favourite kind of Halloween type reads. Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you used to read Point Horror or Shivers. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!